Welcome to the Berry-Tramel Show. We're joined today by Maine football coach Jordan Stevens. His Black Bears come to Norman on Saturday to play Oklahoma. And Jordan, tell us the excitement level for Maine coming to Oklahoma on Saturday.
Yeah, we're looking forward to getting down to Oklahoma. This would be our first trip, playing, getting to Oklahoma and obviously playing the Sooners. And this is going to be a huge opportunity for our players and our program to play, at a storied place like Oklahoma. And we're well aware of Oklahoma and the tradition and the winning and the standard of excellence that they have, and they've been able to be the best in the country. So what an opportunity for our program, what an opportunity for our players, and an experience for our players to go out and compete. And that's what we're looking to come and do is we're looking to come down and compete.
You've mentioned some of the advantages of this trip, the exposure, the recruiting pitches you can make. What does this game do, win or lose for Maine?
Well, I hope it builds confidence with our players, and gives us an opportunity to have a little more confidence as we enter the last 3 weeks of our season after this game. We'll have 3 conference games. We'll be back home the following week, and we're hoping that we can build some confidence from this game and just the experience, and continue to be a football team on the rise. That's our big thing right now is towards the end of the season, we're 500 right now, is continuing to chip away and be a team that can get better down the stretch here.
Are there any disadvantages? This, of course, OU's first season in the SEC. They've jumped in with both feet. This is an SEC tradition to schedule an FCS opponent and play in November. Oklahoma's never done that before. Are there any disadvantages for the FCA opponent to play in November against a school like Oklahoma?
Certainly. I mean, where we are in the season, maintaining our health, keeping guys healthy is number one, and the landscape of college football has changed immensely, in terms of NIL and caliber of player, across the country. So, the big thing right now at this point in the year is, obviously we want to walk out of the game healthy, that's a balance for me as the head coach. But also, we got to come out with an opportunity to compete. We have an opportunity to compete, and we got to give our players an opportunity to compete in this game. So that's what we're going to do. But that would be the one, I guess you would say, disadvantage this time of year.
This is a strange Oklahoma team. For more than a decade, the Sooners have been known for Heisman Trophy quarterbacks, high-scoring offenses, and then some suspect defense. Now, all of a sudden, Oklahoma's got a really good defense, but they have trouble moving the ball, scoring touchdowns. What do you see in this Oklahoma team that you've been watching?
Yeah, I mean, number one, I mean, starting on defense, just watching their defense, I mean, really impressed with just the overall effort they play with, the physicality they play with, just really relentless towards the ball and playing really a high level of football. Obviously, in the SEC, that's not something that we see on film on a weekly basis, but really impressed with how they play together. And then offensively, I mean, we just see the physicality, obviously, from their front, from their tight end, especially. I've been really impressed with their tight end, number 10. That guy is a physical dude. He's going to come and try to take your head off. So, I know they've had a number of guys in and out of the lineup on the offensive line, made a quarterback change, that as well. I think, anytime that stuff's going on, it's hard, it's just, that takes time to build continuity, and get synced up and build some chemistry, which looks like they took that next step in the Ole Miss game, and just came up short in the fourth quarter. But they were a team. They had control of that game, all first half.
When let's go back in time. You're a junior in high school in Temple, Maine, and the Maine Black Bears go to Starkville, Mississippi, and beat Mississippi State 9-7.
Yeah.
What do you remember about that? And what is that? I think it's that might be the last time. Well, I shouldn't say that. It's a historic win for Maine. Stunning result in the SEC. It's 20 years old now, but what do you remember about that, and how can that relate 20 years later to 2024?
Yeah, I mean, just remember hearing about that, um, as a high school football player and thinking how impressive that was. I mean, that they were able to go to Mississippi State and get a win. I mean, that was huge. And I think Maine was 2 years removed from back-to-back conference championship seasons and playoff seasons, and to go down there and get that win. I actually just talked to Coach Cosgrove, who was the head coach of that team, who I played for here, and then I worked for Coach Cosgrove as well. I talked to him on Sunday about that game, and I think he knows every series of the game and how how it went down and how the he just talked about how fired up the players were at halftime because they knew they could compete and they knew they could win. So yeah, that's a fond memory in Maine's history.
Of course, that was not an overly successful Mississippi State team, but that team beat number 20 Florida later in the season. So, I mean, this was not,
Yeah.
this was tell us a little bit about the Maine football culture. It's not a part of the country that we know a ton about. I actually have been to the state of Maine. My wife and I have been twice. We love Maine. 2 years ago, we actually were in Bangor in August. We spent the night in Bangor, and I just said we're close enough. I'm going to go up to the campus. We drove around
Okay,
the campus, loved it. I got out. She shot a
there you
picture
go.
on your football field. So I got a picture on the Maine football field. Now, lo and behold, the Sooners have scheduled Maine. Tell us a little
Yeah.
bit about the Black Bear football culture.
Yeah, I mean, Maine football has been around for I think 133 years, and this has been a you know, uh, a program that's been a more of a blue collar program. I mean, majority of our players are from outside the state of Maine. I would say we probably have 10, roughly around 10 players from in state. So it really provides a place that is, it's a wonderful school. But then within Maine football, majority of our players are from the New York, New Jersey, Eastern PA. You'll got some guys from Maryland. We've extended our recruiting down to North Carolina a little bit more. We have 3 teams in our conference in North Carolina, but mainly on the East Coast. And as you know, that has expanded with the transfer portal. But Maine football, this is a place that obviously I played, and then be able to coach here as an assistant and be back here as a head coach. I think it's just it's about tradition. It's about playing really disciplined football, finding really smart, tough football players, and then just, really doing it the right way. And I think that's something that I've dedicated, myself to in being the head coach here is building something that's sustainable for years to come, that where we can compete on the national level at the FCS level.
Of course, this is your third year as head coach. First 2 seasons, the record was not what you wanted it to be, but much improved this year. And a couple of weeks ago, you guys played number 5, fifth-ranked Villanova, and whacked the Wildcats on homecoming. What kind of confidence did that give you to beat a program like Villanova on the FCS level?
Yeah, that was a special day for us here. I mean, to come out and beat the number 5 team in the country at home. We also had a win over the number 21 team in Albany earlier, 2 weeks prior to that. So just a really huge moment for our players and our coaches to come out and validate the work they've been putting in, and just the message that we've been preaching, and we really believe in a process mindset, and coming out and really focusing on the process, not on the outcome. And it's good to get rewarded for putting your head down and just going to work and committing to the beliefs of the program. And so I mean, that I was really happy for everyone and to get that win. We had a tough game last week against Rhode Island, where like in college football, it's so hard to put those things back to back. I think the emotions of one win going to the next is something, we're a team that's learning how to win consistently. So took a little lump last week with trying to do that.
Educate us a little bit on your part of the country. We know a little bit about FCS here in Oklahoma. We don't have an FCS school, but we're not too far away. And of course, our schools play FCS. I covered the Oklahoma State South Dakota State game in August. Of course, the Jackrabbits are an FCS power, and let me tell you, that's a real football team. That's not, that's serious business. Cowboys were very fortunate to get away with a win. What is the FCS like in your part of the country compared to, say, the Dakotas or down in Texas
Yeah.
or the other places we might have seen?
Yeah, like I think there's three major conferences in FCS football. There's CAA, Coastal Athletic Association, there's Missouri Valley Football Conference, and then there's the Big Sky. And I think if you look at who's playing for national championships, it's a team from one of those three conferences. So, um, the parity within our conference, is really incredible to see, especially this year. You'll have what's been fortunate is there's been so many teams that have shared the top of the conference. I don't think you've seen one dominant team at the top of the conference. JMU certainly had a long run in our conference. Delaware's had their time in our conference as sitting at the top, and of course Villanova. So the landscape is changing a little bit within our conference. Delaware's going to FBS and Conference USA. But I think that this is a very good level of football in FCS football. I would put it up against some Group of Five conferences in terms of talent level in certain areas. But this is a competitive football, and I think the CA does a great job of holding high standards within our conference. I think from a moving football forward, we do that. So it's a professional setting when you're at a CA game and how it's conducted and how it's there's just the integrity that it has.
I know I had the South Dakota State coach on my show back in August, and we talked about this, and I want to get your perspective. The same issues, the same problems, the same challenges that are hitting schools like even Oklahoma and Oklahoma State also are hitting you guys, namely the transfer portal. How do you adjust to the portal? How has the portal going and coming in both directions? How has that affected the Maine Black Bears?
Yeah, I mean, so NIL started 5 months before I got the job here, and I know that's been an accelerator of the portal. That's been probably our biggest challenge, in building continuity, building a culture, building a program has been, stabilizing the roster. And, at our level, there's going to be, we have some players that have really outstanding seasons or a couple of years or have graduated from here. They're going to be majority of the time they're going to be looking or getting enticed to transfer up or go somewhere else. So I think one, we've embraced it. Number two, we've been less reactive to it and done a better job of responding to it, of knowing it's a part of the business here. But I also think on the other end for us, I mean, and going back to like the CAA, I think the transfer portal has increased the talent level within the conference. It's a bigger, more mature conference. The O lines, the D lines, the linebackers, even the receivers. Like you see more physically developed players within our conference, and certainly I think this year it's benefited us a ton. I think we've gotten some really good transfers on defense that have helped us a ton at the linebacker level and in the secondary. So, we're navigating our way through it. I think we're aggressive in terms of trying to work to get players right away, but we know we got to win to do that and entice them to be here.
Well, Jordan, thanks for joining us. It's been great. Love the state of Maine. Love college football. The confluence of those two things in Norman are going to be great. We're going to even be hospitable and have you some autumn weather, it looks like.
I see that, yeah.
Bunch of 88-degree days, 90-degree days this season, but I think we're going to have some decent weather for you. So good luck on Saturday.
Awesome. Thanks so much. I appreciate you having me, Barry.
Thanks a lot. Stay tuned next week for more college football on the Tramel Show and every day in the Tulsa world.